Joining us now, Eric Trump, and Eric Trump, middle son of Donald J. Trump, the Republican frontrunner for president. He's in New York now, and he'll be traveling to Iowa this afternoon. Eric Trump, great to have you with us, man.
Hey, John, you better be knocking on wood. You know, I'm a superstitious guy, so to call a win for us, you know, you got to touch wood for me.
I will, and tell you what, I have an uncanny track record in this stuff. I also said 3 months ago that Sanders was going to win Iowa, and I think he's going to win it bigger than anybody believes. I talked to a lot of Democrats out there, and there's just no enthusiasm for the Clinton campaign. But look, we'll see how it plays out. I think though, your father's in really good shape going into this Iowa caucus. Look, people don't come out to rallies thousands at a time and stand in 8-degree weather, and then they're not going to show up at their caucus for 2 hours. It just defies logic. So I've always stated, Eric, I think a lot of the surveys and the polling that we have actually understates your dad's backing. So when I look at these polls, I know a lot of people in my business think they're overstated or, well, you know, people haven't turned out, et cetera. I think they're understated. So we're going to find out how this goes on Monday. And of course, we're going to be there. So I think your dad wins Iowa's going to win New Hampshire. He's got a shot to run the table. Hey, Eric, I want to get to the Fox debate. I think your dad did absolutely the right thing, in my judgment, in standing up to Fox News and basically breaking the Fox News big media cabal, just like he's broken open the donor bundler Wall Street a theory of they have to back every candidate. I think the emperor has no clothes. And look, basically he's got his own event tomorrow. Look, I wouldn't have done the debate either when I've got the head of Fox News, Roger Ailes. I mean, I'm the Republican front runner, and he's putting out a press release mocking me, belittling me. I wouldn't have gone to the debate either. What say you?
Yeah. Well, listen, my father's an amazing guy. He's an amazing kind of negotiator. But my whole life I've seen him. My whole life I've seen him in the business world. He's always smart enough to know when to walk away from kind of a bad deal, and that was turning into a bad deal. And Fox was making this into a soap opera, and not about politics. And the reason they did that, they wanted to build it up, right? To build up the ratings, because ultimately that means more ad revenue for them when they sell commercials and everything else. But this isn't what a political process in the U.S. should be about. I mean, a political process in the U.S. should be sincere. It should be about the people. It should be about voting on the commander-in-chief. I mean, that's what our forefathers had in mind. Not turning this into again, a soap opera for the sake of a network making a lot of money on on ad buys and other things. So, listen, tonight we're going to have a great event. We're going to be benefiting the wounded warriors. We're going to have an amazing event, and again, I really commend my father. He's a special guy. I commend him for knowing when to walk away, and I think it'll actually benefit him. I mean, I really think it'll benefit him, and I think Fox will prove to be the huge loser in this thing. You're going to have very few people turn out to the debate, tune into the debate. There's not that going to be much excitement there. The clear front runner around the U.S. is not going to be behind the podium. And from my family standpoint, we're going to raise a lot of money tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be together, and I think all eyes will actually still be on us. So, I think we did win this thing after all. I think time will prove that it was the right move.
Look, big media, big money, big bundlers, big donors, all these people owned by the globalist class. I think, that's the message your father has. I like the fact that he stood up to Fox News. I like the fact that he stood up to Roger Ailes. Look, Eric, I was in Cleveland. I was at every debate except Milwaukee. But I spent 2 days in Cleveland. I was right there up front, actually not far from behind where your family was sitting that day in Cleveland, and I was appalled by the line of questioning. Not only Megyn Kelly, but the entire Fox, Chris Wallace and Brett Baer, all of them. I really thought that they went into that debate. They thought your father's candidacy was fraudulent, and I thought they went into that debate with a clear, concocted agenda to discredit your father. They didn't ask him a single substantial question. They didn't ask him about trade. They didn't ask him about NAFTA. They didn't ask him about TPP. They didn't ask him about jobs. I mean, they asked him a bunch of questions designed to discredit him. I thought he did fine that night. I thought polls said he won the debate, but I thought they were despicable questions that had nothing to do with the agenda he's got, and I think it was insulting for the people that were behind him. I felt that whole thing was just a disaster. So, look, now I'm getting insulted by Roger Ailes. Why am I going to go up and show up for the debate to make them money while they insult me? Why would anybody
John,
do that?
That's why you need to know when to walk away. I mean, that's why you need to know when to walk away. And, again, I give him so much credit. It takes a lot. When was the last time you saw a candidate do that, And by the way, when was the last time you saw debates that were kind of held in this kind of soap opera, fashion? I mean, I think if you went back to our forefathers and, they were able to hop in a little time machine and jump forward, I think they would laugh at what's happening right now. And it's really a shame. I mean, I give my father so much credit. I mean, you mentioned it before, but it's one of those things I hear nonstop all day, every day. Thank you for having your father self-fund his campaign. The way the lobbyists in Washington, D.C. work, the way the lobbyists everywhere work, I mean, it's despicable. They're not giving Jeb Bush $10 million because they think he's a charming guy. I mean, they're giving him that kind of money because they want to be able to call on major favors from him, if he was ever in the White House. And it's backfired on these candidates. It's backfired. And, the people who have raised the most money and the people who have taken the most money are the people who are doing the worst. And, for all intents and purposes, my father's really redefined, I think, the new age of American politics where, amazingly successful, sincere people who, quite frankly, don't need the job, but rather want to do something great for their country, can hop into a race, if they carry the right message, can do incredibly well, and without the ridiculous, money coming from Wall Street and all these pundits and, all these people who ultimately want to kind of control the establishment and control the direction of the U.S. I mean, that is not democracy. And I think people are fed up, and I think, that's one of the reasons he's getting such applaud for doing what he did. I mean, it's no longer democracy. It should no longer be one person at the top of one of these big companies, controlling who the presidential candidates are going to be. I mean, that flies in the face of what our forefathers would have wanted, and I'm really proud of him. I mean, he's just a super guy, and I'm proud of what he did.
And Eric, what your father, Donald Trump, has done in this campaign is he's leveled the playing field. He's given he's given voice to those that felt disfranchised and cut out of the system. And whether you're a bundler or a donor or a Las Vegas casino magnate, whoever you are, you've got the same influence over the Trump agenda, which is one ticket to an event, one vote, and everything is proportional. And I think that is one of the issues that is driving the campaign, because a lot of average people feel finally they've got somebody that is going to fight for them, not fight for Wall Street, not fight for Silicon Valley, not fight for the globalists, not fight for the slave traders, the banksters, the tarpists, but average people every day that are trying to figure out how they're going to get back and forth from work, how they're going to take their family to a movie over the weekend. These are the issues that matter. And I think these are the issues that your father has been speaking to. He's been fighting for U.S. jobs for Americans for 3 decades. You go back to NAFTA, which I was fighting with him in opposition of. People say, oh, he's changed his mind. It's like, look, I've been fighting this battle with Donald Trump for U.S. workers for 3 decades. So that's nonsense. Now,
people are also thrilled, John, that he doesn't speak in sound bites. I mean, how many people up on that stage, went into a closet for 3 days and rehearsed some of the things that they say up on that stage? I mean, you can tell they've looked at a mirror and said that exact same thing 400 times. I mean, the thing that makes him special is he gets up there, he says what's on his mind. Hey, certain people are going to love it, certain people won't. Certain things are going to be politically correct, certain things and many things will not. He doesn't care. He's not, he doesn't owe anything to anybody. He's doing this himself, and hey, the message works. The message works. Let's be a little bit unscripted. Let's be off the cuff. Let's, say what's on our mind. Let's not go out to the pollsters and ask them, well, will this be popular or will this be, unpopular? I mean, let's say what's on our mind. And he says so many things that everybody else is thinking, but that, political candidates are afraid to say. And he has that ability, again, based on the fact that he's self-funding. So he's just a special guy, and he's an amazing guy. And, he's my best friend. And I couldn't be more proud of what he's doing. I mean, it's so great and it's so awesome, and he would be so fantastic for this country.
We're with Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump. Eric, what's been the biggest surprise in your family since this thing started?
Well, I think that he would shoot the first place probably the way he did. 6 months ago, I was building hotels with him all over the world, right? I mean, that's what I do every day. And, Ivanka and Don, my brother, my sister, we were working as a family business. We were doing great things all over the place. And, I always say, you can look into your father's eyes. You could look into your father's or, your family members' eyes, and you can kind of see the frustration build. You can see something in there. And even before he announced, I knew he was going to do it. I'd see him read the paper in the morning, and you'd see $19 trillion. And he would just shake his head, and you could just see the anger in his eyes. Like, what's happening to this country? What are we doing to ourselves? We're bankrupting, our nation. And quite frankly, that's a nation that gave him so much. I mean, that allowed him to build, an amazing company. It allowed him to, raise his family. And, you'd see deals like this Iran deal, which is total nonsense. $150 billion to a country that absolutely hates our guts. You see an educational system that's ranked 28 in the world, despite the fact that we spend by far the most money on it. You see a veteran system which is totally corrupt, and our best kids out there who fight for this country, who get totally shot up. I mean, they're not being taken care of. You see a military that's probably the weakest it's been in a very, very, very long time. No one cares about it. You see weak leadership, and you could just see this in his eyes. And, I knew he was going to hop in for that reason. I think the biggest surprise was that a person who had never been in politics before, a person who had never been on the debate stage. I mean, this is a guy who went all over New York and all over the world and built the tallest buildings and, built the greatest real estate projects. And he'd never been on one of these debate stages. He'd never formally been in government in any way. This is kind of the antithesis of Donald Trump. And all of a sudden, he goes to, he's tied with everybody in the first week or two that he announced. And then, the message gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And he just pulls away from the pack. And here he is, 25 percentage points above, the rest of the pack nationwide. He's 7 points ahead in Iowa, going into Iowa on Monday, which is a huge, huge honor. And, I mean, he's just doing so fantastic. So I'm not sure if anybody could have predicted that, if that makes sense. I knew he was going to do amazing, but I mean, the fact that he's doing this well is really, really incredible. And again, I'm proud.
Let's get to just the reality. I mean, your father's built this business, worked on it with his dad. He becomes president. I mean, is he going to be able to, I mean, he's going to have to disconnect from the whole thing, right? You know how this works, right? He can't be involved at all, can't make any decisions, can't even be told about it. Are you guys going to be able to do that?
Yeah, and John, listen, I've been the company for 11 years. Don and Ivanka have been in for maybe a little bit longer, but about the same. We've built most of our jobs. We have worked alongside with him every single day. I mean, we are an incredibly close family. He's given us tremendous anonymity even before this run. He trusts us completely, and we have a great company. We have an amazing company. We have some of the best assets all over the world, and he will disconnect. I mean, the one thing I can tell you is, the company will be in our hands, and he will give everything he has, back to America, and that's what he wants to do. And listen, you don't go on the campaign trail, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, traveling like a madman, giving 10 speeches a day. If you don't truly want to do something, you also don't come out of pocket for millions and millions and millions of dollars. Self-fund a campaign if you don't really truly care. And, no different than the company he built. He wants to fix, our country. He wants to give whatever that is up in his head, that's made him so successful. He wants to give that back to America. He's a patriot. There's no place he would rather be than, here in the States. I mean, quite frankly, he doesn't even like traveling overseas. He wants to be here in the States. He's an all-American guy who'd rather eat a cheeseburger than anything else. I mean, he's a great guy. He wants to give back to this country. And, again, I've sat across the table with him for so many years now, and he's one of the best negotiators I've ever seen. I mean, there's no one like him. He is just, and beyond that, beyond being a great businessman, beyond being a great negotiator, I mean, the guy has energy that you would not believe. And you can see that out there on the campaign trail, but, I mean, he does not stop. And, it's like that in his work life. It's like that in, his new political life over the last 6 months. He'll certainly be like that for the commander-in-chief. And, he's also a great cheerleader, right? He's a great marketer, but he's a great cheerleader. And this country needs a little bit of cheerleading. I mean, we need to be put back into prominence on the world stage. And I think there'd be no cheerleader in history that would be as good for this country as he would ultimately be. So he would just do a fantastic job. He would be so fantastic at this job, and there would be no one better.
Let's get back to the self-funding thing, Eric. I mean, this is reality. When this thing is over, your father's going to probably have dumped in nearly $100 million in this thing. I mean, that's a lot of money to put into something, I mean, that takes away from the whole family estate, win or lose, money's gone. I mean, is it worth it?
Yeah, to him it is. I mean, is it worth saving this country? At $19 trillion worth of debt and going up very quickly, it's going to be 21 trillion very soon, based on kind of this new plan that was approved and pushed through that no one did anything about, unfortunately. It's going to be a 21 trillion. I mean, when is the point that you can't recover from that? I mean, 10 years ago they were saying, not even 10 years ago, 5 years ago when it was at, 8 trillion, they were saying that that's an amount that you can't recover from. I mean, think about $21 trillion. I mean, that's, $2.5 billion a day. I mean, it's staggering figures, and there's a point of no return for us. I mean, there's really a point of no return where all of a sudden we look like, Iceland that goes into we look like Greece, and, he will not let that happen. I mean, he is, and beyond that, I mean, the other problems, education, as I said before, and our educational system, which is not doing our kids justice. I mean, it's just not. We're ranked 28th in the world. There are, third world countries that are doing a better job educating their children than the United States. It's a joke. It's an embarrassment. I mean, we have the best country in the world. We have the best, infrastructure in the world. We're the best nation in the world. We should be first at everything. We should not lose at anything. The problem is we've had incompetent leaders who, want to sit in Washington and they want to be career politicians and they've never accomplished anything, in the real world. And, they want to run this nation. They've done a terrible, terrible job, and he wants to fix that. And for him, that is worth $100 million that you're talking about. I mean, it is worth more than that, quite frankly. I mean, he's going to do what it takes to win this thing. And the amazing kind of, the kind of side part of that, though, is he hasn't had to put in the crazy amount of money. I mean, he's been winning this based on, kind of ground root support and a lot of people getting behind him and a lot of people liking what he says. And he'll probably actually come out of this, this race having spent the least amount of money than any candidate with the best result. And I think that's what we should expect of our leaders in this country. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if leaders could have the best results with spending the least amount of money? And I think that's the difference between kind of a career politician and a business guy.
I think that is the difference, and I think that's going to play out, Eric, Monday night. We're going to be in Des Moines. I will be at the Trump victory party event on Monday night. Hopefully we'll see each other there. And I'm going to end with I had your father on with me in May before you announced. And I said to him, Mr. Trump, you've got this great company, you got a great family, you've got a great life, you own and play on the best golf courses on the globe. You're 70 years old. Why would you do this? I mean, does this make any sense for you? And this is when I knew he was going to run and he was going to win, and I predicted this whole thing. He said to me, John, what good is all that if you don't have a country? We're going to end on that. We want to thank Eric Trump for being with us. Eric, it's been a pleasure to have you on. I'll see you Monday night in Iowa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, John, thank you for the friendship. Really enjoyed it.
All right.